When he was laid off by Grail.
He does too. All right, so here we are. We are getting ready to. This is synergizing with the recent release of the Justice League movie. Am I right, Mark?
Have we been recording this whole time?
No, I just hit start. Don't worry about that.
Mark's like, erase it, erase it,
erase it all.
No, I'm just like, anyone listening to this is going to be fucking suicidal. Like, he's right. There's nothing to look forward to. Oh, God. Why did I waste all that time in college?
Oh, my God.
Just to recap, college is a joke.
Yeah. There you go. That was the first half hour of this podcast that we did not record.
I can sum up this entire 30 minutes. As my grandfather told me on the day I graduated college, I should have been an accountant.
College is a joke. Nobody loves you. Go home.
The American dream is dead, as is rock and roll.
Oh, all right, so tell me why we're doing Darkseid War tonight, Mark.
Oh, that.
Yeah. The actual podcast that we sat down to do.
1,000 pardons, sir. Yes, Justice League comes out, as I like to refer to it, Justice League as directed by Zack Snyder, then thrown in the garbage and reshot by Josh Whedon. Comes out this Friday, if you're listening to this live, it comes out this Friday. If you're listening to this when it airs on the regular Rattlegion broadcasting schedule, it will have just come out. So to synergize with the release of Justice League, we are looking at a Justice League arc authored by Jeff Johns called Darkseid War that took place over Justice League issues, I want to say like 40 through 50.
Yeah,
something along those lines.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't know if you noticed this, Ronnie, but did you see what the final issue of this Justice League run was?
Number 51?
52!
Oh, 52, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, I tried to block that from my head. Funny thing, real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
right.
I went to the North Carolina Comic-Con Bull City, which is in Durham, North Carolina, this weekend, and a gentleman there, two gentlemen that were running this booth. I'm not sure what their shop was called or if they had a physical shop. Brought all these books. You know, most of them were face value or like $2 an issue, and it was a 3-day con. So it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. About 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock Saturday, the guy said, "I don't want to take any of this home. Everything is 2 for $1."
Nice.
So I got the majority of the Darkseid Wars, including most of the one-shots, and I paid like $6 for them.
Wow.
So if that, and I can't remember how much or how many I had. Yeah, no, it was like $4 or $5 because I got like all but number. Yeah, well, no, yeah, it was more like $6 because I got like 12 issues of the Darkseid War, and it was it was pretty cool. And I got all of the whole Howard the Duck run and stuff like that, but but I still read it digitally because I was missing a few issues, and reading the first issue, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not. I can't just. I'm not going to be able to just guess what happened.
No, you are not.
There are no context clues with this book. I must read it all.
You are going to possibly be missing something big. So yeah, this is just like Mark said, 10 issues. This is the revamp of the Justice League, the new 52 Justice League, as it were. And so what we're going to do tonight, just to give my guests a heads up and give our listeners a heads up, I really seriously probably have a 5-sentence recap of these 10 issues. So yeah, it is going to be a summary, my friends. There is a lot. And I mean a lot that happens in this book. And I'm not going to take 2 hours and sit here and go issue by issue, even 2 issues at a time, to kind of decompress what happens, because there is a ton. But want to quickly summarize. I've got a few questions. These guys might have some talking points to discuss. But Mark covered most of the creative team here. Jeff Johns. The artwork looked to be, well, I can tell you it was pretty. Some of the issues were pretty nice. If I remember correctly, there was maybe one issue that kind of stood out from the rest. So I was like, well, that looks a little bit different. I'm looking at the wiki right here off of Google right now.
There were 2 issues that looked really different from me.
Now, were you counting the special? Because I think I threw the special in there, the Darkseid War special.
I think so.
Okay, yeah, that looked really different compared to the rest. Mark, does the trades that you have just have the 10 issues itself, or does it throw any one-shots or anything in there?
Okay, so Justice League Darkseid War Part 1 hardcover collects Justice League 40 through 44 and DC Sneak Peek Justice League #1. Justice League Darkseid War Part 2 Volume 8 collects Justice League 45 through 50 and Justice League Darkseid War Special #1.
Okay, all right. So that's the one we're talking about, Ronnie, that looks a little different from the rest.
Hinky.
Yeah. Does it have a listing there, Mark, of who the artists were, just by chance, on the back or anywhere that you can see?
Aided by acclaimed illustrators Jason Fabok and Francis Manapool.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, there's your creative team, folks. Jeff Johns in there. It's a DC staple. I think we may have talked a book on here about that had Jeff Johns attached to it before.
If you've had Calandros on, more than likely you've talked to Jeff Johns book.
Yeah. So he is the staple of DC. As a matter of fact, we just had our Brian Michael Bendis discussion.
Yeah.
And because Jeff Johns has kind of moved up in the ranks to where he's more attached to the TV and movie universe, a lot of people think that Bendis might kind of step in where Jeff Johns left off. What were you going to say, Ronnie?
He's DC's Bendis.
Yes. Yeah, very good. So, all right. Well, let me go ahead. I'm going to give my summary here. Anything else you guys want to talk about before I give the summary?
No.
All right, here we go. All right. So what happens when the Anti-Monitor decides to wage a war against Darkseid on Earth? One of 2 things. You either get the heck out of Dodge or hope the Justice League can do something. In this 10-issue series that takes place between Justice League issues 40 through 50, we are shown just what happens when 2 gods tussle on our home planet. We also learn of the origin of the Anti-Monitor and its ties to the anti-life equation. Things come to a head when Darkseid's daughter, Grail, resulting from a union with an Amazon named Marina, I'm going to go with Marina, is able to enact a course of events enlisting the aid of the Anti-Monitor that leads to the death and destruction of her father, Darkseid. Things get rather strange when members of the Justice League become powerful gods. Characters such as Scott Free, Miracle Man, Steppenwolf, the Black Racer, and the alternate universe crime syndicate all come together to give us an event like no other, with many twists and reveals, the conclusions of which may be the first steps towards rebirth. So there it is. Now that is, you want to talk about a summary? I mean, my goodness, Ronnie Adams. I mean, how much did I leave out?
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit. I mean, this thing starts off, it starts off kind of crazy. There's characters. I'm not a DC guy. So there's characters that I am not, the expert on in any way, shape, or form. Mark, let's go ahead and let me ask you first. I mean, how'd you feel opening this up and starting with it?
like I don't.
It's always going to be good when Mark opens up with, you know.
It's one of those deals where, because I'm not a Justice League reader, and I'm trying to, whenever we have these synergistic specific episodes, I'm trying to find a story that has a distinct beginning, middle, end.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing my research to try to find something that I thought would be a good accompaniment to the Justice League movie, I kept seeing, hey, the 5 stars for the Justice League War. And I was hoping I would be able to just pick it up, jump right in, and have some fucking clue what was happening.
You failed, sir.
Oh, man.
I apparently need to go back to Golden Age Justice League to have some semblance of sense in any of these books.
I mean, just real quick, before I forget to ask, what percentage of what happens in this book do you think you're going to see on the screen? On the big screen?
0%.
Steppenwolf appears in both. That's the percentage.
There you go.
Both have parademons.
Yep. I can see that. So, okay.
Let me add this to my thoughts on jumping into this. I don't know when DC decided everything had to be outrageously cosmic and over the top and epic, but it feels like every time we delve into anything in the DC universe that isn't Hanna-Barbera, it has to be the universe is on the verge of collapsing, and every universe ever in the existence of time itself will follow.
They had 17 resets, and that was just in 2015.
Oh, dude.
One of the guys in this book is a dude who's got ninja skills and a belt. What the fuck, man?
What? They actually, I think it's in the first issue. They're talking about the resets, the reboots. I think they clearly allude to Crisis on Infinite Earths. I know that's alluded to. They allude to Flashpoint. That was obviously what set off the New 52, because I think this is Metron who's going through Metron on the Mobius chair, going through and talking about the multiverse, I guess you would say. And so, yeah, when Darkseid War happened, it's clearly an quote unquote event. So you're going to have that. I haven't
wanted to throw a book in a while. The last time I did was Infinite Crisis, where there was a point in reading that where I just wanted to throw it across the room, but I would have hit law enforcement if I had, because I was reading it in the jail.
Mark, you want to know what the last time I wanted to throw a book was?
Oh boy. Probably something Mark suggested.
Was it Wacky Raceland?
It was Wacky Raceland.
Oh wow. So okay, so Mark, you're stepping into this. You kind of did you know who the Anti-Monitor was?
No, but clearly the Anti-Monitor was the big bad in Crisis of Infinite Earths.
Okay, that's right. Ronnie, how about you, man? I mean, you're a little bit more familiar with DC. You open this up. How you feeling?
Okay. I view the New Gods. I like Apocalypse as a villain, just as Apocalypse. But I view the New Gods as I do Marvel Cosmic. I don't know much about it. This book is the equivalent to Dawn of Justice. It's
okay.
There are so many things happening at one time. It could have been good, but it's like they took all the ideas and said, these are all great. Let's throw them against the wall and see if they stick.
Yeah.
And nothing stuck for me.
It's the writing style could be like the equivalent to, say, 10 people at a boardroom table all talking at once.
Yes. Or 16 monkeys on caffeine all typing at once.
Well, as for myself, I mean, I found that I clearly gravitate toward these events a lot of times, especially if it's traversing the multiverse in some way. I'm a fan of stuff like that. So I was kind of hooked. I knew a little bit about the history. I read Crisis, I think. It was a few years back. So that was kind of still fresh on my mind. So I was excited to see what they were going to do. But my goodness, you guys are right. I mean, they threw a ton of stuff at you. I mean, there were some main characters. Obviously, we got the Justice League. One of the more prominent characters that seemed to be somebody that kind of stayed in the shadows before, but is probably right for this book, is Mr. Miracle, who actually was the name of my gym teacher. But and when I was in when I was in grade school, but just throwing that out there. He was not scot-free. His name was Mr. Miracle. But yeah, Mr. Miracle.
That was his legit, like, Christian name, as they say.
He was Mr. Miracle. And he once got caught naked when he was drunk, and somehow he continued to be.
It was Mr. Miracle naked.
Somehow he continued to be the gym teacher.
What? Wow.
Yeah, no, dude. Well, that was a different time back then, buddy. 20 years ago, you could get naked and still have a career at the school. So, anyway.
Oh, the good old days.
But yeah, Mr. Miracle tying the worlds of Apocalypse, and I don't think New Genesis was mentioned here. Well, yeah, I think it was in like a couple panels, but mainly we got to worry about Apocalypse and, of course, the ruler of Apocalypse, Darkseid. What do you think of Mr. Miracle? I'll start with you, Mark. Is that somebody you've heard of before?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Do you feel that this book kind of did a good job of introducing that character?
Yeah, I mean, you got his origin. It couldn't be any simpler. As part of a armistice or truce between New Genesis and Apocalypse, they exchanged sons, and he got the fucking shaft. Okay, got it.
Okay. Ronnie, Mr. Miracle?
I've heard of him before, but I always thought he was kind of I always got like Mr. Miracle and Mr. Terrific and Miracle Man mixed up.
You know what's funny is I was reading my summary here. I put scot-free Miracle Man. I just realized I did that. So yeah,
I'm pretty sure Miracle Man doesn't have any powers.
Miracle Man isn't that the dude from? That's the dude that Alan Moore created.
Yeah,
a totally different company too. At least now he's Marvel Man, isn't he?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know either.
But Miracle Man, if he's got power, if he's Alan Moore created him, if he's got powers, it's something really obscure and useless.
I'm gonna we'll have to double check on that. I'm sure there's tons of misinformation I just laid out there, but go ahead.
But Miracle Man, I always knew him as an escape artist,
Mr. Miracle,
which he is. Mr. Miracle.
I got your back.
Thank you. And I thought that's kind of like I thought he was like the poor man's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But I found out later that he's a new god, and he's got all these weird powers. Plus, he is an escape artist. Super strength, agelessness, and all this other stuff. Because everybody, if you don't know what kind of powers to give somebody, give them super strength. And if you do know what powers to give them super strength anyway. I feel like that's what is a staple in comic books. So he's got so it was really interesting to see what they were going to do with him in this, and I think Mark's right. They did a really good job of giving his origin and really bringing him to the forefront, because, as I said, I always thought he was kind of like a C-list character.
Yeah. Anybody got any?
because I didn't read DC though.
I hear you. Miracle Man, by the way, was a fictional superhero appearing in comics published by Marvel Comics, but he went by Marvel Man, and he was created actually in 1954 by writer-artist Mick Anglo. So, and then of course, at some point, Alan Moore did get his hands. He did get his hands on Marvel Man, turned him into Miracle Man, and it was published through Eclipse Comics. So anyway, sidebar. Okay, Mark, you got any? What do you want to say here? You got a favorite part of the book? Do you have? Yeah, give us your favorite part first. Then we'll move to criticism.
My favorite part of this book is Batman taking the Mobius chair.
Absolutely.
That is honestly the only part of the book I understood. No, it was there was no better character to become the god of knowledge than Batman, and my absolute favorite part, and it was favorite to the point of distracting, because now all I want to do is see if he pursues this at all, is when he asks, and I do love this. This is so true to the character. This really was brilliant. First question, who killed my parents? Joe Chill. Got it. Next, what's the Joker's real name? Like, you want to talk about an obsessive. You have the power of ultimate knowledge in it. You know everything happening in the present. First two things, who killed my parents? Who's the Joker? You obsessive nutcase.
Well, the first one was a test, too.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, he already knew who killed his parents.
Okay. All right.
Or at least he thought he knew.
Yeah.
So...
But you know, but then he finds out later on in the story that there were actually 3 Jokers. And did anyone ever do anything with that, or has the universe been ripped apart 5 times since then? And that's all. You know, that's not even a thing anymore.
I'm pretty sure that's the latter.
I think the 3 Jokers thing was sussed out a little bit, actually. But man. If I remember correctly, it might have been a year or so ago where they were talking about the Joker actually being, I don't want to say a god, but he was like some kind of a demon or something. So, yeah, dude, it's changed. I'm fairly certain since then. But I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what happened.
Terrific.
No answers. No answers. Surprise. Okay, Ronnie, your favorite part?
Definitely Batman.
Yeah, so funny.
Yeah, just because he's the world's greatest detective anyway. He could find out all anything he needs to. I mean, he's taken on Apocalypse, and he's given the Apocalypse trouble. I wouldn't say he beat him, but he has definitely given him a world of hurt. This is a man with no powers, so he's friggin' Batman. And then he's like, well, I guess I could just sit in this chair and learn everything, but ever, So it was definitely, it was right along with the character of he could go for power, he could go for whatever, but he'd rather have knowledge.
Yeah. Well, there was a one shot where, in the midst of the Darkseid War, where they took Batman. Apparently, I don't know if this is a trait I'm looking at, but Justice League Darkseid War Power of the Gods, which it looks like it might have been chronicling.
I think it's a collection of all the different
one shots.
Darkseid one shot, Darkseid War one shots, which is Batman, Superman, The Flash,
okay,
Green Lantern, Shazam, and Lex Luthor.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, one of the big parts of this book is where members of the Justice League become
and Lex Luthor.
Well, apparently he was a member of the Justice League when this occurred. They had brought him and Captain Cold.
God.
Yeah, dude, they brought him and Captain Cold as members of the Justice League. Now, this is not in the book. This is like prior to the book, but they brought them in to the Justice League as some kind of PR thing. And of course, they don't trust them one way or the other, but that's why they're together at the beginning. So yeah, each one of the members of the Justice League, well, not each one, but some of the members of the Justice League gain these powers, and I'm fairly certain these powers are similar to what the New Gods had, because the one I recognize the Black Racer, and when the Black Racer and Flash kind of merged together, but that was a cool ass looking Flash, by the way.
Yeah.
But when those two merge together, Flash becomes the god of death, Superman the god of strength. Which, by the way, I mean, how many times are we going to see Superman corrupted in some kind of way and turned, I wouldn't say evil, but my gosh, I can name like probably 5 times I've seen Superman turned into a bad guy of some sort or influenced some way. Go ahead.
And that really did lack imagination. Superman, strongest being in the universe. He's the god of strength. Well, no shit. He was the god of strength before that. What made him in any way better?
Yeah, the only thing it did was like change his personality, and of course that sets into motion one of the big things at the end where we find out that Clark Kent, Superman, is dying. After if they finally get separated, something happened to his cells, and so yeah. Then we had, let's see, there was Aquaman, by the way, did not see him throughout this whole series. He wasn't in this book at all, was he?
No, he wasn't.
I was going to say, no Aquaman. Batman with the Mobius chair. Shazam, the God of Gods, which, okay. Well, I noticed they were calling him Shazam, by the way.
No more Captain Marvel.
No more Captain Marvel. And is that it? Am I missing one? For some reason, I feel like I'm missing one.
Green Lantern. The god of light.
He was turned into one?
Or, well, he had a one-shot called that. I don't remember him being turned into anything.
Not in this main series.
There was the god of knowledge, the god of strength, the god of death, the god of gods.
Shazam.
Yeah.
Luther was
oh, yeah.
What was he?
The god of apocalypse or
God of
shit.
Apocalypse, okay. And then I don't remember Green Lantern being turned into anything.
Maybe, well, he had a one shot, and I can't remember.
Oh well. It didn't seem like it fell in this book. All right. Well, enough about that. Let me go ahead and get back to my notes here. So we talked about Mr. Miracle.
It's actually they list them in here. Hang on one second.
Okay.
Or go ahead, and then I'll just interrupt you. Sorry, hang on. The Flash is the god of death.
Yep.
Superman is the god of strength.
Okay.
Batman is the god of knowledge.
I remember this. This is like the 8th or 9th issue.
Shazam is the god of gods.
God of gods.
God is God. Dun, 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 dun. God is God.
Don't know that song.
Lex Luthor is god of apocalypse.
Okay.
Probably by some band named Goat Humper or something.
Goat Humper.
Nope. Liebach, as a matter of fact.
I should have known with that deep.
And the Green Lantern is the god of light.
Did he go through any transformation? I don't recall. All I can remember him just being a thorn in Batman's side, telling him, "Get off the chair! Get off the chair! Hey man, get off the chair!"
He really was like a nagging wife in that episode. Hey, you get off that chair! No, who's the Joker? No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna solve crimes.
Get off my back, Hal.
I mean, there's that one redeeming moment where he like takes his ring off and gives it to Batman so he can get him off the chair. Maybe that's what I don't know, but okay,
or did it have to do with Power Ring?
Well, the thing is that you would have thought they would have just called her. Well, maybe you're right. I don't know.
She turned into a Green Lantern at the end.
Yes, she did. Congratulations, Jessica Cruz. All right. So let's talk about. Let me find my notes here.
How many Green Lanterns of Earth are there?
Well,
Hal Jordan, John Jones.
John Stewart.
John Stewart.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Sorry. Hal Jordan, John Jones,
Stewart,
no, Stewart, John Stewart,
Guy Gardner,
Kyle Ripken, no,
Rayner,
Kyle Rayner, and now Jessica Cruz. That's 5.
Now,
and that one dude that was had the mask and carried the pistol.
I don't know that guy.
Punisher?
No. Gosh, what was he was Middle Eastern, I think.
Osama bin Laden?
Oh.
Yeah, dude, I have no idea who you're talking about. Carried a pistol?
Yeah.
This is
Simon Baz.
okay.
Yeah, I don't think he lasted long. But he was a member of the Green Lantern Corps. Created by Jeff Johns.
Okay. So we got 6 Green Lanterns for Earth, sector whatever, 24, or whatever, 2420. 52. All right. So, Mark, I mean, we've talked about confusion of characters. Was there a character that you were just like, okay, we could do without this person? Anything like that when it comes to the characters that you were just like, get this guy out of here?
Wait, what?
Was there any characters in the story that you felt that the story could have done without?
Oh, wow. Well, there's 106 of them in here. So, geez, where to begin editing? You kind of need Grail. Grail is really what sets a lot of things in motion.
Yep.
You probably don't need Big Barda.
Yeah, you know, the only
she played an an important role in the end.
Okay. I mean, if they were trying...
sure. The Black Green Lantern wears a ski mask and carries a gun. Racist.
That's it. I don't think he's black.
Racist.
I didn't create him.
I'm not saying you're the one that's racist. I'm saying DC's racist.
I can't think of anybody off the top of my head either that really doesn't kind of fit the bill. But man, they were just characters were, like you said, all over the place. We had the Crime Syndicate, we had the New Gods, we had Mobius, Darkseid Baby.
That one. That's what did it for me.
Darkseid Baby took you out of it, huh?
Oh, little baby Darkseid.
That whole arc. Okay, so let's I guess give the lowdown here for our listeners, and you guys jump in because I'm going to try and do this off of memory. But Darkseid dies, and he dies at like, I think it was like issue 2 or issue 3. The Anti-Monitor gets the best of him. And what's neat about that is the Anti-Monitor is like fueled by the anti-life equation, which is something Darkseid has always been looking for. He's always been looking for the anti-life equation. Well, he found it, and the Anti-Monitor, and the Anti-Monitor lays him out with it. So anyway, Darkseid dies. And most of the plot by the Crime Syndicate is to have... Man, I want to do my best to try and explain this. But they find Superwoman, who... Is that Lois Lane, Ronnie?
Yeah.
Okay, because they kept calling her Lois, and I'm like...
she's an Amazonian in this, too. And
okay, I'm just going...
has Superman's power. I don't know.
Well,
that whole thing is confusing. The Ultraman, Superwoman.
Yeah,
I mean, Superwoman is confusing to me. The rest of them are just evil doppelgangers of the other. They kind of make sense.
So, I noticed she called Owlman Thomas. That isn't Thomas Wayne, is it?
Yeah.
Now, see, I'm asking questions I don't know the answer to. Let me just stick to trying to tell you the plot as I remember it, faintly remember it. But anyway, Superwoman is pregnant when we find her, and their plot, their big gambit in this whole thing is that they're going to have a baby, and the baby is going to be I assume the baby's going to be Darkseid. Was that what their plan was? Or did it become Darkseid just accidentally because they used this baby to absorb the powers of the new gods? And yeah, folks, just try and follow along with that.
Is it nature or nurture? Does a baby become Darkseid because of its parents, or is it born Darkseid?
Yeah. Gosh.
Oh.
So yeah, baby Darkseid at the very end of this tale lives. It absorbed all this power, and then it becomes a baby Darkseid. And
Ronnie, what do I have to do to get you to have a child and name it Darkseid?
It involves lots of cash, sir.
Darkseid. Though now at the
I want to have a third child that we can't afford just to name it Darkseid. Oh, Darkseid Rattledge.
Oh God.
Nope.
Only if his
Darkseid, go to the door. Darkseid, go to the door.
If his middle name is Mobius.
Darkseid
Mobius Red.
That works.
Terrific.
Call him Moby.
No, he won't.
Okay.
How about Darkseid Brock Lesnar Rattledge?
Oh, there you go. Well, that's I can see Mark doing that for sure.
He's going to have the power of Apocalypse and the legs of a toothpick.
Does Grail end up raising baby Darkseid at the end of this? Is that what happens?
Yeah, she's got him. And
okay, all right. That's so. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, baby Darkseid at the end of this book is being raised by his own daughter.
We are just absolutely into this storyline. I'm telling you. Yeah, I guess whatever.
So Grail ends up raising baby Darkseid. Yet another propaganda piece for the single mother.
Oh boy. I don't think they were looking for that statement, but
this is liberal propaganda. This Darkseid War, it's all in there.
They have all new, all different. Wait a second, that's Marvel.
Jesse's in no mood for my shenanigans.
Your shenanigans. Well, okay, so I mean, let's go ahead and we'll talk about the end of this, the ending of this story.
We haven't even talked about the beginning yet.
I can't. It's like, dude, there's so much that it's hard for me to pick out. Like, okay, what was the one thing we've already talked about our favorite parts? Do you guys want? I mean, we could maybe list our second favorite part because there's so much kind of that happens in
Grail
here.
comes to Earth. I don't know if she comes to Earth, but she comes into this fight wanting to start a war with Darkseid. So she's pulling all of these strings to start this war. She's got the anti-monitor. She's got everything working in order to go to war with Darkseid.
Can I just say that her entrance, by the way, is one of the craziest entrances of a female villain that I've ever seen, where she erupts from the mouth of the Flash.
Yeah, what was that about?
I don't know. We can move on now.
But
it's nightmare fuel. That's what it is.
It is, dude. It really is.
This story. The ladies and gentlemen that are listening to us right now and say, "Oh my God, they're butchering this. I don't know if I can listen to it." Read it, and you'll understand. There is so much going on. There's a plot. There's like 17 different subplots. There's so many side flashes. Okay, so we're gonna focus on what's her name, Grail, and this, and she's apparently
her
the
mom.
yeah, her mom. Her mom is the mother, if I'm not mistaken, of Wonder Woman in this. She and Grail are sisters.
Well, she mentions that they're sisters, but I thought she just meant that because they're both of Amazonian blood. I don't know if they're actually.
Oh.
I could be wrong. I'm gonna look. I'll look. You go ahead and continue to talk.
So there's all this stuff going on, and basically they just want the Anti-Monitor and Darkseid to fight, so the Anti-Monitor can kill Darkseid, and both their powers are released, and someone is going to take this power and try to rule everything. So somehow all this power gets separated, a la the Phoenix Force and the Phoenix Five in Marvel, and it goes to each of the existing Justice League members: Flash, Superman, Shazam, Lex Luthor, and whoever else I'm missing. And so we've got all this craziness going on. We've got Lex Luthor and Superman on Apocalypse, and they're trying to fight their way out, and they realize that there's no sunlight getting to Superman, so it's becoming more vulnerable by the day or by the minute. And so he gets clocked in the head by one of the slaves on Apocalypse who start rioting. Whoever brings Superman to whoever kills Superman and Lex Luthor gains their freedom, so they go after him relentlessly. So they clock him in the head with a club, and he finds out he's bleeding. Well, Lex Luthor he says, "Well, it's because you're a solar battery and you're getting no power." And so they start getting overtaken by what are the things from Apocalypse called?
The shadow. The parademons.
Parademons. They're getting overrun by parademons. So Lex Luthor throws Superman into this solar energy thing that's on Apocalypse, which is not the kind of solar energy that he needs. It turns him, not so much evil as it does hardcore, and then he becomes the god of strength. And then he takes to heart something that Lex Luthor said. Lex Luthor, he said, but if I don't get any more, if you don't get more power or more sun, you're going to become. Superman says human. He says, no, you become vulnerable. You'll never be human. And meaning you're from Krypton, you're an alien. You're never going to be from Earth. You're never going to be human. So at that point, he beats the crap out of Lex Luthor because he ticked him off of what he said and leaves him in Apocalypse, and he gains the power of Apocalypse and becomes the god of Apocalypse. So at that point you're going, oh my God, that's horribly confusing. Yes, that's a subplot. That is a subplot to this massive. The only thing I can relate this to is, when you go to your garage or your attic and you get out your Christmas lights and they're in a big giant ball, they're connected somehow, but you don't quite know, and you're trying to unravel them so you can just get a straight line of lights. That's exactly what this is. Because after about 15 minutes of that, you just wad them up and go buy another set.
Yes.
Because at this point, I wanted to wad this up and go buy just another story. Just any other story it could be. I wanted to pick up my Howard the Duck run and start reading it, but I didn't. I didn't, listeners. I did this for you.
There's something to say about simplicity, and when you find a good story that's simple, fun to read, all right, that could be one of your favorite stories for a very long time. Then you have something like this that's very complex, brings in. I believe that DC thinks that with events, one of their biggest selling points is everybody's got to be in it.
Is confusion?
Everybody's got to be a part of it.
And that's
where I think the downfall sometimes happens.
It's like I was sitting around one day in the office again. You know who we haven't used in a while?
Mr. Miracle.
Mr. Miracle. Let's make this a big confusing storyline based around him. You know what? That's a brilliant idea. You're promoted.
Now, you can see that. I guess really the saving grace for me on this event is that it does mean something in the long term when it comes to the DCU. I mean, they set up a few things. The upcoming potential death of Superman, which I think he does disintegrate at some point.
That's the new 52 Superman who was in love with Wonder Woman, not Lois Lane.
Okay, and that's the one who in this story is told
I'm getting a fucking nosebleed.
That's the one in this story who's told that his cells are degenerating or whatever, and he will die.
Correct.
So they set up that. They set up. They kind of put an end to the crime syndicate. You know, your Ultraman, your Wonder Woman or Superwoman,
Owlman, Power Ring.
Yeah. And so they kind of set that in motion to get them, because they brought them in and they had
Johnny Quick.
They had to sit there and get rid of them. They get rid of, what's funny is they get rid of Darkseid. Oh my goodness, Darkseid's dead. End of the book. Oh my goodness, Darkseid's alive. Ladies and gentlemen, there goes the buzzer. It's over. Sorry, my dryer just went off.
No, that pretty much sums up this whole book.
It's like we didn't really get very far, did we? Darkseid's still alive. Baby Darkseid. Woo. And the whole New Gods thing, they come in and then they leave. So really the two important issues or the two important things that come from this is it's the fact that Superman's possibly going to be dying in the new 52 Superman. And I'm going to say the epilogue, the very end. And Mark, I worry that I may have spoiled the book for you when I sent that picture yesterday. Were you done with the series when I sent that picture?
I don't remember.
I read it.
I had this strange feeling when I sent it. Mark was just agreeing with me. Like, yep, I can see that. All right. So the epilogue occurs. And by the way, Batman is tossed from the Mobius chair. Owlman is now the possessor of the Mobius chair.
And then the dam broke.
We find out, sure enough, he was in league with Metron at some point.
And out come the gangsters, New Jack and Mustafa.
Chairs are being thrown.
Here comes the Blue World Order.
So at the end of it, the epilogue, Owlman and Metron are sitting on the moon. And something, by the way,
Metron, yeah.
I think it's Metron's hanging out there. That's where we kind of find out that they were colluding together to kind of have these events happen or whatever. But, you know, all of a sudden you see Owlman, his eyes kind of get big and he says, oh, he's here. And then the next panel you see is just blood and dust.
Owlman explodes.
He does explode. He does explode. So right at the very end, we're left with the big question. Who had the power, the wherewithal, and is able to get the drop on Metron and vaporize, or excuse me, well, I think Metron is killed as well, but the only thing you see is an empty.
No. You see a big blue flash of light. And then you see Owlman, the remnants of Owlman after he explode.
That's right.
And which is just blood on the chair.
And it's an empty Mobius chair. So that's it. That's what you see. Now I sent Mark the picture yesterday. I said, "Do you have any idea who could have done this?" And Mark Radlich.
We agreed that it was the one fucking guy from The Watchmen.
Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan.
That's the one.
It is indeed the setup for the Watchmen universe to finally become part of the DC mainstream universe. These issues had to, it said, coming up next in Rebirth. So this was 2 years ago in May that they dropped Rebirth #1. So this must have been shortly. Yeah, dude, it was forever ago. I mean, they've been playing with that for a long time now, and we're still finally just getting to Doomsday Clock, which is this month. So, all right, Mark, what do you think of the ending? We got to the end of the story. We already agree that it's a cluster. I mean, did you feel like the ending tied things together well enough for you to go, oh, okay, thank goodness?
I mean, I got it, basically. I think the whole point of this was that the Mobius, who was the Anti-Monitor, didn't want to be the Anti-Monitor anymore. And I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't understand what else happened. I read it and I got it and I gleaned what was happening, basically, that this really was a battle between Darkseid and the Anti-Monitor, and Darkseid dies, and then he was brought back to life, but I guess with the power that was inside the Anti-Monitor.
With the power of love.
And it was infused in baby Darkseid.
Can we not say baby Darkseid anymore?
What's funny is,
do I basically have that right?
What's that?
Do I basically have that right?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm just thinking of all these crazy things that happened in the end. Where
I finally have my second favorite part, by the way.
What's that?
The cheesy horror film ending of Grail holding the baby, and we're like, everything's gonna be okay. I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna do exactly what Darkseid didn't do to me. You're gonna be sheltered and loved and pampered. And then you turn around, and he looks at the reader, and he's got Darkseid's face and the red eyes, like rah, bum, bum, bum. Like, seriously,
dude. What's funny is, I was thinking of some of the crazy crap that happens in this book. Wonder Woman has the baby. She starts yelling Shazam backwards. It starts sucking in all this power, and then all of a sudden,
Superwoman has the baby now.
Doesn't anyone rob a bank in the DC universe anymore?
Right? What happened to the dam breaking?
Wait, I've got to tell the rest of the story. All of a sudden, the baby becomes full-size Darkseid. And it's sitting there.
But it was like zombie Darkseid.
And then he's laying out people left and right. He's got the Omega beams or whatever he's got coming out of his eyes. And then all of a sudden, he goes away, and then we got baby Darkseid again.
Darkseid.
Can I pitch something to Brian Michael Bendis, if you're listening?
Please.
As you take control over the DC universe, would you please write a 12-part story that will be captured in a trade paperback about how the humans revolt against all of the DC heroes because they keep destroying the universe, and that the world would be better off without them? I seriously want, like, on page 1, like, just some dude shoots Batman. Be like, fuck you.
Knock it off.
We'll take our chances with the Joker and the Penguin and the Riddler because they're fairly incompetent. You, however, participate in the destruction of the universe on more than one occasion. And then, page 2, someone takes a gun. It's got kryptonite bullets when it shoots Superman in the back of the head. And this just goes on this way. There's a mission set up by NASA, that's a joint effort between the Americans and the Chinese to go to Oa and blow it the fuck up. No more Green Lanterns.
We're done.
Okay.
Hey, Batman, you see this? This is called a 45. It can take out the Penguin too.
There's the Oklahoma chapter of No Man gets their AR-15s together and they all invade Themyscira.
I see that going bad for the Oklahomans.
Why? The Amazons just have swords. They're going to show up with automatic weapons, and we've seen the damage they can do.
Right, but I just see it still going bad for them. I'm okay with them. The Amazons, they just want to be left alone. They don't really, you don't see them a whole lot in these big storylines unless somebody messes with them. They're kind of like the Hulk. Just leave him alone and he'll be fine. Let him throw a rock every once in a while. He'll be, he's okay.
What if the Oklahoma chapter of No Ma'am just shoots Wonder Woman?
I don't think they really care at this point. They're like, you know what? Take her.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on board.
Okay. So you hear Brian Michael Bendis? We want average people of whatever Earth this is that they're up to this time, Earth 512, to just murder the DC universe and everyone in it.
And then like John from Texas can be like Lasso Man, and it's just Punisher style people. They take the place of your heroes and are like, listen, we're going to take care of everything. We're all right. Seriously. I mean, you've got what? Wonder Woman's most fierce foe is a woman dressed up like a cheetah. Shoot her.
Oh, yeah. By the way, answer, Ronnie Adams. Hippolyta is
is her
Wonder
mom.
Woman's mom, and then
that's a lot of Hippolyta.
a lot of Hippo.
Myrina was Grail's mother. So okay,
but they were Amazonians, so they were.
Last word before you guys start pitching more nonsense.
It makes sense.
Ronnie, I'll give you what's your last word here on Darkseid War?
Oh my gosh, my last word on it. I thought it was going to be a lot better than what it was, mainly because it's Jeff Johns. But it is like it reminded me of when my dog throws up.
Okay.
I'm like, how did that get in there? And why is it in there? That's a big mess. Now I have to clean that up. I wish
this is a very apt description, by the way, because
I wish this never happened.
All this comes out, and then the end result is just a stain.
It's a stain on the carpet. That's it. And I want to look at DC and say, you have stained my carpet.
Oh wow! All right, Mark Radulich, last word.
You guys. Like, again, a lot of this stuff, I'm
taking a running tally of how many times Mark says,
you know.
I've listened to you guys bitch about the New 52. But, I mean, how much worse was the New 52 than what we just read? And I'm not saying what we just read was terrible. I was entertained by it. But, I mean...
I was too confused to be entertained.
That's the thing. I have participated in mosh pits, and I've watched mosh pits, and those are entertaining too. It's just people colliding into each other and falling down and getting punched in the face, and there's music playing, and it's dark, and it's all very interesting and fun to watch in all of its chaos.
You aptly described this book.
Yeah.
This book is a mosh pit full of dog vomit.
I'm just wondering, how much worse could the New 52 have possibly been?
Well, remember, this is the ending of the New 52. So it was started in 2011. Was oh my goodness, we're revamping, we're rebooting everything. Here we are coming to the end of the New 52 Justice League. So this is all stuff that unfortunately resulted from it, Mark. What you're reading right now is a result of what came before, the New 52. So it is a continuation. And by goodness, are you at least glad that this is the ending of the New 52? Because does that give you some let me just say, it gives me some solace in the fact that we are ending something that a lot of people had issues with, and deservedly so. If this right here is an example of some of the craziness that occurred, then I mean, I'm kind of glad to see it end. But, you know, anyway, moving on. I want to give my last word here on Darkseid War. I will say that I did enjoy at least trying to stay, trying to stay on top of what was going on. They didn't make it so incredibly hard. Like, I'm glad Mr. Miracle was thrown in there, and I knew a bit of his background. The Anti-Monitor was in there, and they tied him, to Darkseid in some way. But, hey, we got Darkseid's daughter, and then the ending of this book just really went way out there. I mean, and a lot of it was fairly inconsequential. Was it a good story? Man,
no.
I really don't think. I really can't say that it was the greatest. I finished it, and there was.
Why am I the bad guy? It was terrible.
It was a little bit long-winded as well. I don't know if you guys got that feeling, but there were times where I felt I needed to Golden Age Dave that comic book, where I was just looking at the pictures and following what was going on that way.
Okay. It doesn't get the year's award for wordiest book. That's still Guardian Devil.
I will thank you, Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
That was will you please just shut up?
Yes. All right, let's get into plugs here. That was our feeble attempt. I
have one last thing to say.
Oh, please, sir.
I'm sorry.
Fuck this. Fuck this book.
Are you sorry you have one last thing to say, or you're sorry?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
What? All right. So for years, for a long time, I cried foul on New 52.
Uh-huh.
And I'm seeing Mark's point with it, because if they were going to end it like this, I would rather have, because even though I wanted the New 52 to end, I was so fed up with DC, I didn't read this, and I haven't gotten into Rebirth. This was not a good start to something new, in my opinion, or an end to something. It's not a good end to something bad either, because with what they did and how they discovered, made excuses, I guess, the New 52 just kind of infuriates me more, because at the end of this, if you've read any DC, if you've read comic books, if you're a comic book fan, you'd have to be headless to not realize that it's Dr. Manhattan coming back to set things straight or whatever. And then I guess the story was, if I'm guessing correctly, that the New 52 was just a creation of Dr. Manhattan, and then he's erasing it, or
That's right.
Even if it's not a creation of Dr. Manhattan's, he's still getting rid of it.
I forgot about that little tie-in.
Yeah. So because at the end of Rebirth #1, Batman's digging through the cave, and he finds the comedian's pen stained with blood.
Yeah.
And so that automatically says, oh my gosh, it is the Watchman. It is Watchman. It is Dr. Manhattan. So I find that a lot of people, I can't remember the name of the show, but it was a soap opera. And it had built up to where, a lot of these shows that go a long time kind of jump the shark. And people are like, okay, I'm still bought into this, even though I don't really like it. And then at the end of this certain, the soap opera, it showed that the entire show was just the imagination of a young child staring into a snow globe.
Isn't that St. Elsewhere?
Saint Elsewhere. And everybody, that was the last show, that the entire run of the show was just the imagination of this child staring into a snow globe. And that's kind of how I feel like DC did with the New 52 and everything leading up to the New 52, including Darkseid War. All of this happened, but it was just the imagination of a childlike being almost, being Dr. Manhattan, who sees everything in black and white, yes, no, right and wrong. It is what it is because he's Dr. Manhattan. It's like he took his little snow globe and shook it, or his Etch-a-Sketch, and shook it and reset everything. So it was kind of a cheap cop-out, in my opinion. So this was not, in my opinion, this is solely my opinion, this was not a good ending to that. This did not give me any, what's the word I'm looking for? It didn't give me any closure to what they were doing with the New 52. All it did was make me go, okay, I didn't enjoy this whole run, and the end of it just confused the heck out of me. What did I just read? Holy crap, it was all part of Dr. Manhattan's imagination. He shook his snow globe and said, okay, we're going to start over again. And now I just don't want to give you any of my money anymore, DC.
Oh.
That's just me. But now that Brian Michael Bendis is a part of it, I'll probably blindly throw my dollars at it and just say, I want to read Brian Michael Bendis. But it's one of those things that left a bad taste in my mouth. This whole. Now, am I sorry that I bought it at the convention? No, not at all, because I got a lot of cool variant covers from this too. Several variant covers that they had through this. One of them being the Looney Tunes characters as the Justice League, which did not match the storyline at all. They're like, oh, hey, what can we do for a variant cover? Just throw Bugs Bunny on there. Oh, okay, that sounds good.
Good old Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, the whole thing was just kind of like, oh gosh, if this is any inclination of what's to come, I just don't want to be a part of it. I just don't want to be a part of it. That's what I was left with.
We'll leave it at
end.
We'll leave it on that, Ronnie Adams. Wow.
I want to add one thing to that. I think as we go forth into next year, and I look at the list that I sent you, and we start talking about things to do, I definitely want to stick to the more self-contained, smaller stories, because what I'm realizing is that these large, bigger than life, cosmic, time spanning, ridiculous stories. There's a tendency, it seems, and look, they did it with Secret Wars, they did it with this. We've covered a couple of these where they just want to shove everything into it, and it's like, I go back to, I just want to see a bad guy rob a bank. We've got some fun stuff set up for next year, and we'll see how all that goes.
Good luck with Infinity War coming up.
Yeah, but even that, the thing that they have synergized with that is the Infinity book.
Yeah, which was pretty self-contained.
Right.
This is why I have not new, but this is why I will have and always will love smaller stories and street level characters, because you look at the whole what was Secret War thing that we had that Jesse and I covered, which was just insanity at points.
Thor Core.
There was a giant thing who was a wall, but he came out of the earth.
Johnny Storm's the sun.
Johnny Storm's the sun. Doctor Doom is God.
I haven't known to bleed again.
It's just what is happening right now. But through all that, you've got the Punisher. Good old Frank Castle. What does he do? He just keeps to his mission. He goes in, he blows up some bad guys, and he says, all right, I'm ready to die now. Thank you, Frank, for keeping it simple.
Indeed. All right, let's get into plugs, boys, and get the heck out of here. Mark Radulich, I'll start with you, sir. The schedule.
I feel like you're sad now between me and
I'm sorry.
No, I am not sad anyway.
I was perfectly happy covering this book. I'm not even the one that suggested it. You assholes come on here and just shit all over everything. You dum-dums.
Listen, it deserves a lot of the flack that we are giving it just because it just seems so huge, so epic in scale. And to drop ourselves into it, and let me go ahead and I'll just say what they miss out on these big events is somebody that just picks up the event itself and has no idea what's going on before or after. I imagine if you didn't know who the crime syndicate was, there might be a time where you're like, who are these jamokes? I don't know what this guy's doing. Why does this guy look like Superman but have a U on his chest? And
why is he eating kryptonite?
Why does he look like my grandpa? I mean, he's all skinny and scrawny, and I mean, it was just, there were times where a person.
Why is he eating kryptonite?
Person who had no idea, who had no idea about the universe, could pick up a book and enjoy it. This is not that book. You do not want to give this to somebody and say, here you go. Have fun with this. You've never read DC before? Great. I've got a book for you. Here's Darkseid War.
Hey, I was at that movie, Justice League. Would you recommend a Justice League coming to me? Sure, Darkseid War. Have fun.
They never read DC again.
And they come back and you go, why do you hate me?
Well, I'm a Marvel guy.
What did I ever do to you?
Why is the baby gray and evil looking? I don't understand.
Why? How? Did she give birth and then he grew and then now he's a baby again?
Why are they calling the mean lady with the laser eyes Lois?
It's supposed to be Superman, so oh my gosh.
Why is Lana Lang from Superman 3 with Richard Pryor yelling, "Hail Darkseid"? Who's Darkseid?
Why is he eating kryptonite, for God's sake?
There are three Jokers. There are three Jokers. I don't understand.
Wow. But yeah, you can't give this to somebody and say, here, start here. There's no way. And granted, it's the end of a series. 2 issues after this, like I said, 52 was the final issue of Justice League, at least this run, as far as I can tell. I'm fairly certain, because they didn't have any more on the website that I was looking at anyway. And I imagine they went on to do something different because Rebirth hit. But yeah, you can't tell somebody to start here. That's for dang sure. And it's surprising to me that DC did all of that. But regardless, maybe you should start. I mean, if there is any argument for why you should start with a #1 issue, this would probably be it. You don't want to jump into issue 40 and think you're going to be okay. You might as well start with issue 1 and hope for the best.
I don't know, Jesse. I don't even think starting at issue 1 would have made much of a difference.
Nope.
Oh man. All right. So
I want to write for DC because it's going to be like, okay, so here's my pitch. The universe is collapsing because it's always collapsing.
Brilliant. Here's $1 billion.
You've already got their ear. They're ready for the next.
The universe is collapsing.
We need to know who's going to die.
Okay, so in this iteration, half of the Green Lantern's corps are going to die of syphilis. And
syphilis is just not a disease. It's actually a yellow ring power. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's a character. When I say he's going to die by syphilis, it's actually a character.
We've decided to name one of the most iconic villains in DC history after an STD. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Syphilis is coming for the Green Lantern Corps.
Oh my gosh, that's a tagline at the end of like Green Lantern number 30.
I can't breathe.
Syphilis is coming.
Syphilis will end
Oh,
the DC universe.
Oh, I'm crying.
No one's safe.
No one's safe from syphilis. Can Superman beat syphilis?
No, that's the thing. Nobody does. Everyone gets syphilis.
Oh my gosh.
And at
Oh
the
my
end,
gosh.
and at the end, the only one left standing is Snagglepuss, who's
Oh,
gay
no.
and living in the village and still writing plays.
Stop it! That hasn't happened yet, and I don't want it to ever happen.
I cannot wait to talk about that on this show.
Oh,
When is the Snagglepuss?
why
trade
do you
coming
love
out?
awful things?
All right,
It's just as
still
nature.
plugs.
Yes, let's do plugs. My gosh.
Really? We haven't done those yet.
No, I'm too busy pitching terrible DC storylines.
While you're plugging, I'm making sure to hashtag syphilis is coming on Facebook.
Just next on the next source material, syphilis destroys the rebirth.
Oh, dude! Things have gotten
Wow.
out of control. I gotta figure out how to spell syphilis.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Don't
Throw-
click on the Google. No, don't. Okay.
You'll see pictures.
CYPHQF, that signal.
Stage 3 affects internal organs.
Signal.
So right here on the Rattlevision Broadcasting Network this week, if you're listening to this live, and really, why aren't
Syphilis
you?
is coming for you.
Jesse and I will have more silliness tomorrow on TV Party Tonight as we look at the 3rd season of Black Mirror. We finally finished that up for the year. On the Metal Hammer of Doom is another villain coming after the DC universe called Ackercock.
I thought you were going to save the clap.
Ackercock, ladies and gentlemen, Renaissance in Extremis. We'll be talking about that on the Metal Hammer of Doom Wednesday at 9. If you're listening to this live if you're listening to this on the Rattlevision Broadcasting Network, on the 20th of November during your Thanksgiving break, if you're a school teacher or a child, we've got our review on Daniel Hollywood of Justice League. We've got our Thanksgiving show on the Metal Hammer of Doom. We're going to look at Poison. Look what the cat dragged in. And then since Thanksgiving is Thursday, on Black Friday, aptly named, we're going to look at On Trial, Batman v Superman. So that's what we got going on here on the Rattlevision Broadcasting Network.
All right. Ronnie Adams, plug, sir. Do it.
Oh, I have a show called the Screaming Boy Podcast. We are back. We released 2 episodes that we did not get to previously release. It was Mark's gonna get a kick out of this. I released it happened before my computer went down, so I didn't get to release it on iTunes. It was from Here in My Car Week on the Radio Broadcasting Network. Jesse and I took a look at iconic movie cars. We also did the Josh Calandris, Adam, and I took a look at in another episode the newest season of Mystery Science Theater 3000, the one with Joel and Kinga, and not the old one, but the newest one. So we released those 2. Then we released our newest episode where we took a look at, and completely spoiled for Adam Runyon, Stranger Things 2, which is still one of my favorite shows ever. So if you ever do a TV party tonight on Stranger Things, count me in, Mark Radulich. So we got that. We got we got a new episode coming out at the end of this, we're going to record a new episode at the end of this week, and release that soon, probably the next day. And so we're going to be looking at a few things there. We're going to do a comic convention recap. So where I went to 3 comic conventions in 2 months, and it kind of blew my mind because I was in a position up until recently where I could go to 0 comic book conventions. So I actually got to take part in 3 this year, all around, where I live, and it was a lot of fun. It was very eye opening to what actually happens at these cons. Other than, I shouldn't say I've not been to any. I went to the River City Comic Book River City Comic Convention, Comic Con.
You talking about up here?
Yeah,
River City Comic Con.
Yeah, River City Comic Con, which was always a blast. So we're going to be taking a look at the conventions I went to. You can check us out on any kind of social media, which is if you go on Facebook, just look up Screaming Boy Podcast. Twitter is at Screaming Boy PR. Instagram is Screaming Boy Podcast. We got lots of pictures from these said conventions on there of cosplay and Artist Alley and stuff like that, which was a lot of fun. And that's pretty much it for right now. Did I miss anything? No, I don't think I did. I do have one word of warning for you if you're going to read anything DC. Syphilis is coming.
I hope it trends. All right.
If it doesn't, there is no justice in the world.
Nope. Ladies and gentlemen, go give that Rattlich and Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. We got wrestling on here. Yeah, that's right. W2M Wrestling. W2mnet.com. I haven't had the opportunity to throw their recent episodes up here. Yeah, man, it's been a crazy weekend. So, but keep an eye out because I'm going to get all caught up. There'll be a big content drop right here on the Rattlich and Broadcasting Network. So watch for that. But previous episode you can check out where me, Ronnie Adams, Benjamin J. Colon, and Josh Calandros came together to discuss the breaking news of Brian Michael Bendis going to DC. That was a fun discussion. It's about an hour and a half long, folks. You trust me, you'll enjoy listening to it. So check it out. You can follow me at Stiznarkey on Twitter, the show's Twitter at SourceMacCast. Other than that, I think that's it. No, you know what the sign out's going to be for Mark Rattlich. For Ronnie Adams, I'm Jesse Starcher. Syphilis is coming. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.